Hello everyone, hope you are doing good. If you are planning to switch your job to a data engineering role, or if you are trying to get into a new job as a data engineer but you are not sure what to study and what not, then this video is for you. My name is Harsh and I have 12 plus years of experience working in this industry, and I keep taking a lot of interviews to hire data engineers for my current company. So I know what are generally being asked in the interviews and what are the topics you need to learn to become a good data engineer. That's why I have created this detailed roadmap, and I have divided all the important topics into 20 steps. We will see each of the steps in detail in this video. Before going into the topics, let's first try to understand what data engineering actually is. Going by the definition, data engineering is the process of designing, building, and managing systems that collect, store, and transform raw data into usable format for analysis and decision making purpose. Let's try to understand this. Talking about any organization, it may be a bigger or a smaller one. There are some key roles such as product owner, data owner, managers, testers, developers, admins, business users, data analysts, and data scientists, etc. If you like to categorize these roles into various categories, then you can go for majorly three categories: owner of the data, technical team, and user of the data. Owner of the data is someone who actually owns the data and collects data from various source systems to be utilized by the user of the data and technical team. But the data collected by the owner is not always in useful format because that is available in the raw format. But on the other hand, user of the data will need data in more cleaner and useful format so that they can utilize this for the betterment of the company. So the transformation of this raw data into the clean data is done by the data engineers. But that is not the only job which data engineers do. They also build the pipelines which is utilized for transferring data from various source systems to the desired target locations. They also maintain and test these pipelines, and overall execution and maintenance and development, everything is taken care by the data engineers. So now you know what data engineering is and what is the core responsibility of a data engineer. Coming back to our topic of this video, which is the list of all the important concepts and topics you need to learn for becoming a good data engineer, I have categorized all these 20 steps into 3 points: basic knowledge, must to have skills, and good to have skills. Basic knowledge is the prerequisite for becoming a data engineer or going into any data related profile. The second point, must to have skills, is the heart and soul of data engineering. So all the topics mentioned is point 2. You should be very good on those topics and thoroughly you need to learn all of them. The third one is good to have skills. These are the skills which will polish your profile and will make you stand out of the crowd of lot of data engineers available in the market. Let's start with the basic knowledge. Step 1 here is the different type of data you should be knowing. In this whole universe, whatever data is present can be categorized into three major categories: structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data. Because data is the backbone of data engineering, you should be knowing about this type of data. Also, you should be knowing about various file formats such as JSON, Parquet, CSV, and many more. You should be knowing when to use which file format, what are the advantages and disadvantages of each file format. Third thing, you should be knowing about various types of data loading such as batch processing, full load, incremental load, streaming, auto loading, etc. At least the meaning of these terms you should know. In detail, we will see in our core topics, but for now, you should be knowing about the meaning of these terms. Fourth thing, you should be knowing about what is ETL and ELT process, what is extraction, transformation, and loading, why it is used for, how it is done, what are the tools available in the market. This overview, you should be knowing about this ETL processing. Fifth one is big data and Hadoop. This is not something which you need to learn in very deep. But overview, you should be knowing about what is big data, what is distributed storage and distributed computing, what is master slave architecture. These basic concept, it will be benefit if you learn that before jumping into the data engineering field. Because while learning Spark in data engineering, these things will going to help you a lot. Point number 6 is the basic cloud terminologies. Anyway, you are going to learn cloud in detail in your core topics, but it is good if you know the basic cloud terminologies such as what is cloud computing, what is cluster, what are nodes, what is data center, region, zones, and what are different services provided by the cloud. Now coming to the must to have skills. Here point number 7 is SQL and databases, which is the backbone of data engineering. Without knowing SQL, you cannot even think of becoming a data engineer, because currently there is a lot of data which is available in form of structured data, and SQL is the only way to query those data. Even that data is not structured, there are tools and technologies available in the market which will allow you to write SQL kind of syntax to fetch any format of data. So knowing SQL is very much important. Point number 8 is data warehousing concept. Here you need to learn what is fact dimensions, slowly changing dimensions, what is data warehouse, what is data lake, what is data lake house, everything you should be knowing and learning. Point number 9 is related to programming. If you are not from any programming background, you can start with the Python, because that is widely used by the data engineer and data scientist. But if you are already aware of Java or Scala, that is also fine. You can continue with those. Point number 10 here is a Spark, which is again similar to SQL, is the backbone of data engineering and very important to learn. Here we need to learn all the core concept of a Spark. That is a huge list of topics. I'm not talking all the topics in detail in this video. I will create a separate video on Spark topics, but you keep in mind that you need to learn Spark thoroughly for becoming a good data engineer. Point number 11 also talks about the Spark APIs. You can go with the PySpark if you are from Python background, because that is most famous one. Otherwise, you can choose any other API, Java, Scala or R for doing your coding in Spark. Point number 12 again talks about the Spark libraries. At least you should be learning about Spark SQL and Spark streaming libraries. There are other libraries like machine learning and GraphX, but those are most relevant to data scientists and not with the data engineers. So you can focus on SQL and streaming libraries. Point number 13 talks about the cloud platforms. At least you should be knowing one of the cloud platform among these three: AWS, Azure, and GCP. You can focus on any one platform and you can learn it completely. All the major services you need to cover from at least from any one of the platform. Once you are done with that, you need to learn Databricks or Snowflake. So Databricks is the most famous one. So you can go with Databricks, and if you are already aware of Snowflake, you can go with that also. Now point number 15 talks about the data lake house table formats. So Delta Lake is the default format associated with Databricks. So if you are learning Databricks, go with the Delta Lake format. Otherwise, you can choose any other Apache Iceberg or Apache Hudi also for achieving this Delta Lake format. Point number 16 talks about the coding practice, which is very important, because without knowing the basic coding, you cannot crack any interview. They are definitely asking coding, at least the basic one, in the interviews. So you need to know how to write SQL codes, basic of Python, and obviously the PySpark coding you should be knowing. You can keep practicing daily 15-20 minutes, that will be sufficient. Point number 17 is the last topic of our must to have skills, and this is about creating an end-to-end data engineering project. You need to create at least one project before applying for the jobs. You don't need to pay for any license for any of the platform. Databricks is giving 1 year of free community edition. You can create that account, Also, you can create Azure free trial account, which will be for 30 days, but 30 days will be enough for one end-to-end project at least. So make use of these two things, and using these two things, you can create your end-to-end data engineering project. You can also utilize other open source tools and technologies available in the internet, but I think these two are sufficient for creating any basic project on data engineering. Now let's talk about good to have skills. The first one is NoSQL databases. There are a lot of NoSQL databases available in the market like MongoDB, HBase, Cassandra, Redis, Amazon, DynamoDB, etc. If you are already aware of any one of them, that is fine. Otherwise you can choose any one of them. For example, MongoDB you can choose, which is a good one, and you can have the basic knowledge of that. That will be enough. Point number 19 here is DevOps or CI/CD. Though I have mentioned it in good to have category, but it is very important. And nowadays it is expected from each and every developer and data engineer to know overall CI/CD process and how to deploy the code into higher environments. So better you learn at least one thing. Either you can go with the Azure DevOps or you can learn normal GitHub and other CI/CD tools and what is the deployment process in your project. You can have a basic understanding to define yourself in the interviews. Point number 20 here talks about the scheduling tools like Control M, Apache Airflow, Apache NiFi, and there are many more tools available in the market. If you know any one of them, that is fine. Otherwise, you can learn from YouTube or from any other platform, at least one scheduling tool, the basic of scheduling process, that will be enough. That's it. So you have covered all the 20 steps to become a data engineer. You can start learning and practicing from the step 1, and after a few months you will reach to step 20. Then you are ready for getting a job. You can then start applying for job and start attending the interview, and definitely after a few days you will get the job. So all the best for your learning, and if you have any suggestions or any questions, you can drop a comment in the comment section. I will definitely reply. If you found this video useful, do like it and consider subscribing this channel so that you will get notified when I upload more such videos. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.